Will you take part in my life, my love? That is my dream. I is what I dream. Is what you
One of the International Bright Walls artists is My Dog Size from Portsmouth, England. Welcome to Jackson.
Oh, thank you very much. It's really nice to be here. For me, this is absolutely beautiful weather, so I'm having a great time. Yeah.
And I understand you have already had a taste of Jackson Coney dogs. How were they?
They were great. So everywhere I travel, my kids always tell me I need to eat something local, so they do the bit of research. And yeah. And then it was great until someone told me that is it beef hearts or something on the top? But it still tasted good, so I'm fine with that.
Well, one of the things I've learned about you is that when you do an art piece, an installation, or a mural, you like to involve the building, the environment, the atmosphere of the space. With this side of this building that they've chosen for you, how do you bring the environment into your piece?
I always like to spend a little bit of time in a place and get a feel for it, get an understanding of the topography and the landscape and the buildings and the people. I paint these glassy reflective eyes, but the thing that I'm really fascinated by is telling stories inside the reflection. I'm never quite sure what's going to go in the reflection until I've spent some time. So I only got in from the UK yesterday and got started on the wall, but I've been chatting to some people and got some ideas mulling around, and by the time I get to the reflection, I'll have something set in there. I think it's really important as an artist, especially an artist from out of town that comes in to paint, that I don't just come in, paint what I want and leave. This piece is going to be here for a period of time, and this city owns the piece, and I want them to have some connection with it. So by creating something in the reflection that the community can relate to and can have ownership of is really important for me.
The eyes are amazing. The gloss, they look so lifelike. How do you get them to show that gloss in the eyeball?
Well, I always say each painting takes 45 years and a little bit longer. It's one of those things that, like anything, you've got to put the 10,000 hours in, you've got to practice, you've got to develop it. The first ones were slightly dodgy. I've been doing them for a while now, and I know my way around a spray can, and I know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So it's one of those things, like anything, you just got to put the work in.
And I understand some of the eyes that you've painted are actual people's eyes.
Yeah, so again, that linking in with the community, I try and focus on different people. So the iris pattern might be somebody that I bumped into and taken some photographs of there, and so that idea that I can leave a little bit of someone inside a piece is always fascinating for me. The public might not know that, but for me, when I walk away, to know that's my wife's iris pattern, or my friends, or someone that I met when I was in a bar and I arrived in a place, then I like the connection that comes with that.
I think your public art is the true definition of public art, where you take a piece of maybe a tin can out of the trash in public, and then you create something, and then you leave it back on the street in public.
Yeah, and that's my Free Art Friday project, and I've been running that for nearly 20 years, leaving a painting on the street every week. I'm here in Jackson, and it's a Friday, so there are some pieces going out. So I think street art for me is the most democratic of the arts. There are lots of people that will go looking for art inside a gallery or inside a museum, but what street art does is it lends it open for everybody. Anybody walking past the street can interact with that piece and can have some relationship with it. It might be just looking at it going, yeah, that's cool, and it might be, what's that, and wanting to chat about it in the bar afterwards. But I think the important thing about art is it gets people talking, it gets people thinking outside the everyday, and I think street art's just a really valuable tool to do that.
The other thing that a lot of your works have that I think would be a trademark as well of these little people. I think they're called quiet little voices.
Right, okay, yeah. I've got a number of different styles, and I sort of jump between them depending on where I am and where I'm working. But my quiet little voices started out as one of those doodles. So we don't have phone books anymore, but I used to sit there on the phone and doodle, and these things came alive, and I didn't really plan them, they just kind of happened. But I like that they're these strange creatures that live in my peripheral vision, I suppose. I like to think that they're dotted around the city for people to stumble across and discover and question, the place.
Well, they look like they could maybe be an inspiration for a movie series, little Weebles or those little minions.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm good with a spray can, and I've started to sculpt them and build them in sculptural form, which is always a nice thing to do. It's slightly difficult to translate when you're jumping on a plane. You can't bring an 8-foot sculpture with you, whereas you can bring some spray cans and some caps that I can get painting on a wall. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't want to paint an eye, sometimes I don't want to paint a tin can, so these little guys come out and come alive and become something.
Started as a teacher, ended up being a street artist. How did you make the transition?
Well, I was always that kid with felt pens and a paintbrush in my hand, but my dad was a very sensible guy and said, you know, it's all well and good, but you're never going to be able to make a living out of this. You should train and do something properly. So, you know, I respected him and followed his advice and became a teacher, and I loved it, and it was great. But, you know, I was always painting in the background. I was always creating in some format, and I had a lucky break about 10 years ago when street art was moving into galleries and people were starting to buy work, and I was getting commissioned to come and paint in different places, and I took a big leap of faith, and I haven't looked back.
Well, I think you've made the right choice. You've got a lot of success with it. You've got books, you've had gallery exhibitions, and it sounds like they've been very popular. You've sold out a lot of your exhibitions.
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky few, and I'm really aware of the fact that, you know, being an artist is often a really, really difficult route, and yeah, I got lucky, and I'm making the most of it. I'm doing what I love, so I don't go to work. I just, you know, I get on a Sunday night, I get excited about waking up on a Monday to go to the studio, and that's for me the best life.
You've painted on 5 continents. You've got your pick of things you could do. How did you and Bright Walls get matched up?
I'm not quite sure. It was there's lots of mural festivals, and I get invited to paint at those. So maybe they'd see me painting there. I know they were very, you know, aware of my work and were commenting on things. It's a place I hadn't been to, and I'm all about discovering new places. And you know, the project that they've done here is fantastic. You know, it's a tiny city, but you know, I'm standing here and looking at 3-4 amazing murals by world-class artists. I mean, I don't know if the people of Jackson are really aware of what a feat it is for these guys to organise something so special in a city like this, and I'm proud to be part of it.
We are, and it is amazing. I can't wait to see what your creation ends up being. Thanks for your time, and thanks for coming to Jackson.
No, pleasure, absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me, people of Jackson. Yeah.
It's what you